through the Caribou Wilderness and Lassen Volcanic National Park in Northern California. Incident Base, the main camp housing supplies and command headquarters, needed units closer to the fire line. Small camps, called spikes by firefighters, though officialdom no longer used the term, were springing up like fire moths. "You guys with blisters go ahead and take the dressings off and clean your feet with peroxide," Anna said to those waiting. "I think Stephen's got a spare bottle." "Go easy with the stuff," Stephen Lindstrom, the other EMT, said. "We won't have any more till tomorrow afternoon." Lindstrom was with the Forest Service out of Reno, Nevada. When Anna and 3 crews had been spiked out 19 miles from base camp, she begged for and gotten him. Efficient and gentle, he was one of the better EMTs she'd worked with. "How about I get you some dinner before them hogs swill it all down?" Anna looked in the direction of the familiar Memphis drawl. Jennifer Short, a seasonal law enforcement ranger from Mesa Verde, leaned against a sugar pine near the outdoor examination room Anna and Stephen had pieced together from a ground cloth and 12 folding chairs. Jennifer had been on the jackknife fire for 7 days, 1 day less than Anna, and she was still wearing makeup. Anna couldn't help but admire her. Anybody who stuck to their beliefs under duress deserved respect. The sooty fingerprints around her nose and the trails of sweat running through her dust-coated rouge only added to the effect. Bloody but unbowed. "Thanks," Anna said. "Stephen, want some supper?" Belatedly, she asked Jennifer, "Would you mind?" "Why, I'd just lie down and die if he said no," Jennifer said, and winked. Dividing her time between bites and blisters, Anna managed to finish her supper and 13 feet in the next hour. Kneeling at the 14th and last, she began unlacing a well-worn, custom-made White's fire boot. "Helps if you remove your boots for me," she said mildly. "My feet's not what hurt." Anna rocked back on her heels and took in the face attached to the expensive boots. "San Juan crew boss, right?" "John LaFleur." The firefighter stuck out a hand with spatulate fingers reminiscent of the toes of Amazon rainforest frogs Anna had seen hopping through various PBS specials. She forced herself up from her knees. Cold, fatigue, and hard beds were taking their toll. Getting old, she chided herself. Once hard work had made her tougher. Now it only made her tired. She stuck out her hand and, trying for a pressure that was manly without being macho, took LaFleur's. His bottom lip was swollen and bruised. Dried blood caked where the skin had split. "Does your face hurt?" she asked. The third-grade insult, "Because it's sure killing me," flickered nonsensically through her mind. But John LaFleur certainly wasn't hard to look at. Anna had him pegged for 45 or so. His hair was still there and still brown. The nasolabial folds chopped like hatchet marks in his weathered face. Heavy brows protected blue eyes. "Walked into a door," he said, fingering the injury. "All I need's a cold pack." When Anna returned from the tent with the desired item, the man was lighting an unfiltered Pall Mall. "Can't get enough smoke on the fire line?" Anna crushed the cold pack to mix the chemicals that provided the cooling effect. "I'm an old fire horse," LaFleur admitted. "One sniff of smoke and I start to snort and stamp. This is my 37th project fire, my 8th in California." Anna was impressed. What she said was, "My, but you must be old." "I can still work most into the ground." The crew boss took the coal pack and pressed it against his lip. "You'd have to look a long ways to find a door up here," Anna commented. Sudden anger flared in his voice and his eyes. "If I run into it again, I'm going to bust the son of a bitch up for kindling." Anna let the remark pass without comment. Spike Camp was too small a world to make enemies. As far as she was concerned, sleeping dogs could lie or take the first ride down the mountain. Since no new pilgrims had arrived at her canvas Lourdes, Anna sat down next to LaFleur while he enjoyed his cigarette. From inside the shadowed tent, she could hear Stephen busy with the inevitable litter left at day's end. In a minute, she'd go help him. At the moment, it felt too good just to sit. Light was draining from the sky, taking the day's heat with it. Anna rolled down her sleeves and hugged herself. The camp was situated on the back of a mountain ridge amidst a landscape of mountains cresting like waves in every direction. To the west and southwest, the trees breathed up black smoke. As the day faded, pinpricks of orange blossomed. A garish, blood-red sunset fired the sky, the last rays bending through smoke so thick the neck bones of Lassen Peak were obscured. Near the horizon, the smoky pall blotted out the sun. Anna shoved her hands in her pockets to retain their warmth. "The end of the world looks pretty doggone festive, if you ask me," she said. Lafleur stubbed the cigarette out on the sole of his boot, then shredded the paper and scattered the tobacco. "That's where we were today." He pointed across a narrow valley to a burning hillside. "We cut line to that outcrop of boulders and tied it into the dozer line." The area he pointed to was on a steep 40% slope and choked with dog-hair thickets. "Bitch of a climb," Anna said. "Try it with a chainsaw on your shoulder." Lafleur lit a second Pall Mall and contemplated his day's work. "I'm going to be out of the game soon if I can't move into management. Time to leave the backbreakers to the kids." Since he didn't seem to be talking to her as much as to himself, Anna felt justified in changing the subject. "Speaking of kids, how did Jennifer do?" The jackknife was Jennifer's first fire. Her red card and fire boots were both so new they squeaked. After working with Short in Mesa Verde, Anna had developed a reluctant fondness for the Southern Belle. "Fire line's no place for a woman." "Did she screw up?" "No." "What then?" The crew boss laughed. "You're not going to drag me into that. You know what I mean." Anna did, and quelled an urge to bite the man. Anna had served her time on fire lines, and knew quarter was given to no one. On her last 3 project fires, she'd gone out as a medic or security, or, as in the case of the jackknife, both. The work was less backbreaking and more challenging, if not physically, then cerebrally. "Jennifer kept up," Lafleur said finally. "Don't dress it up on my account," Anna said dryly. Lafleur sighed. "She's okay. Works right along. She's got blisters on both her hands, but never complains about anything but how big her butt looks in Nomex," he said, referring to the baggy, fire-retardant wool pants all firefighters were required to wear. "A wolf in femme fatale's clothing," Anna said with satisfaction. Abruptly, she asked, "Are you married?" "Are you offering?" Anna squirmed figuratively, if not literally. She was tempted to tell him the information wasn't for her, but knew whatever she said at this point was bound to sound lame. "Just making conversation." Letting it go at that, she watched the reds deepening into night. Darkness was brought on early by smoke. Sparks of orange, just hinting at the vastness of the burn before sundown, pricked the sides of mountains in 3 directions. The coming of night had hushed the constant growl of retardant aircraft and the helicopters that chopped into the helispot below camp. The small sounds of raccoon, deer, owl, coyote, and cougar had been silenced for 8 days. In its infancy, the jackknife had made a name for itself by taking 2 newsworthy sacrifices. A young man camped out near Pinson Lake, and his dog. Tabloids had made hay with photos of the charred remains of the pooch, while thousands of wild things lost went unmourned. Anna didn't mourn them now. Tiny corpses left behind by fires, squirrel, fawn, bunny, didn't sadden her as they once might have. Wildland fire returned many needed things to the earth. An icy breeze was sucked down through the trees. Fire raged over 30,000 acres of prime timberland. Creeks boiled dry. Birds fled. Fledglings died in the nest, and still Anna could not get warm. She buttoned the top button of her shirt and turned the collar up. Soon she would have to go in and get her coat, but she wasn't yet ready to move. The folding chair and ground cloth felt like home. Marooned as it was, an island of life in a sea of black and flame,